Okay, dude, I know you don't like Sorcerer Battlegrounds, but do you wanna... I think it's safe to say that Sorcerer Battlegrounds has some glaring problems. And despite all of that, Sorcerer Battlegrounds still dominates the Battleground scene, beating out games like Cursed Battlegrounds and Cursed Arena. So how is this possible? In the Battleground genre, where every other week a game comes out and proceeds to seemingly just die, Sorcerer Battleground still manages to keep a consistent player base, despite the somewhat lack of updates. So with that, let's talk about what makes Sorcerer Battleground what it is, and why that could be bad. Sorcerer Battlegrounds has a lot of characters, and that's the charm of the game. Since the game focuses on characters, the devs take a while to work on these. And when a new character releases or something gets reworked, you play this new character like anything before that, and that's it. This isn't really a bad thing, but when there has been 3 other notable JJK Battleground games which all have the exact same shit, then all of the games suffer. Not just Sorcerer Battlegrounds, but Cursed Arena, Cursed Battlegrounds, hell, even Jujutsu Shenanigans. But if imitation is the greatest form of flattery, then Sorcerer Battlegrounds has done something right. And that was the character formula. There's a reason why everybody complains about there being no character updates. Because what do the games do? It gives you a character and tells you, go kill that bacon hair over there. So you would expect the killing part to be pretty diverse with characters, right? Well, sort of. Each character you play with has a gimmick, and that's all the characters are, gimmicks. You're given a character and are forced to play with what the gimmick is. For example, Toji has a variety of weapons which you need to cycle through and be consistent with. Todo has a swap that can very easily disorientate enemies and is extremely versatile in fights. You get the gist. This basically leaves you to only be able to play with 1 or 2 playstyles. And how do you make up for this? Well, you could just pump out a new character every other week, but there's a problem with this. This is so time consuming and boring. But this is something that Jujutsu Shenanigans has managed to solve without even realizing it. I'm not talking about the special move with R, which is just a 5th move, but what I'm talking about is the binding vows in 1v1s. And honestly, with something like this, you can get infinitely creative. For example, you can choose a move to sacrifice for a shorter cooldown of another, like sacrificing Boogie Dropkick for a shorter cooldown on Boogie Woogie. If you could do this one simple thing, it could make the game a lot more refreshing without the need of a million character updates every single month. And best of all, this doesn't need to be a 1v1s or 2v2 specific thing. It could carry over to the main game, or the up and coming game modes. Of course, this isn't something that we'll see in the near future, as the devs are finishing up the current game modes, which will be a great addition to the game. And honestly, I would like to see some of your ideas for binding vows, something to do with the new shadow style for example. Or perhaps a heavy restriction which would affect awakenings or kill effects. Instead of getting health on kill, it will replenish your cooldowns. For a game that's all about experimenting, all of these will just enhance it, and it will most likely have a positive reaction from almost everyone. But let's talk about something that is probably the biggest problem, and that is communication. It's no secret that the communication between devs and the players is a bit lackluster. And there's a reason for this. If you go to almost any Sorcerer Battleground server, you'll have at least one guy in chat who is constantly rambling. But that's the thing, it's 1 or 2 guys out of the 15 in the server. Truth is, these people are a loud minority, so it may seem that they are a majority of the game, but it's really not. The actual big part of the community is the ones who don't speak very much. The ones who just play the game and have fun. There's also the clans of Sorcerer Battlegrounds who live and die by the meta, so no matter what the devs say or do, it's always wrong. But there is some stuff that the admins and devs could do for the game, for example adding a frequently asked questions channel. And before I have someone telling me that, well, they have a message about it in pins, well, guess what? The first thing anyone checking pins will see is someone telling one of the admins they will make them their boy wife. Another useful thing the admins and devs could do is filter out suggestions. Trust me, I checked. They barely, if ever, check them. I mean, they could still see a lot of suggestions but simply not respond, but that's still a problem, since we can't tell if they have seen them or not. And honestly, if I were in their position, I wouldn't read many of them either due to the amount of rot that is there. So what would be a good solution? One would be to keep it closed and open it whenever the devs want opinions or suggestions. This could also double as a feedback channel, for example opening it after an update. But now another problem arises. Orage himself, he can't do this all by himself, and will need a community manager of sorts. The admins are probably closer to Orange, so one of them could be a community manager. I would recommend doing a public poll about the admins before deciding anything, but at the end of the day, Orange has the final say. Speaking of public polls, we really need some. As I mentioned earlier, there's a big part of the community who doesn't speak very much, and these same people can just press one button on a poll to express their thoughts. I can already give a good example for this. I have posted some polls on my community tab and hundreds of people have partaken but have not commented. And this is yet another example through my comment section. The brain rot gets filtered out by the more like comments and goes to show that there are some cool people within the community. But I'll go to the conclusion and talk about why these may be a necessary change in the future. I'll be up and honest real quick, the devs have been going in a really positive direction lately. In one of my first videos, I suggested game modes, and would you look at that, they listened. Despite how little the devs seem to communicate, they really try and do listen. Of course, that isn't without its faults like the ban on inappropriate kill sounds, which came really late. And to the people who weren't happy with the last update, which brought more than ever before, the next few updates will include a new main map, new game modes, new awakenings, emotes, and probably more. This is more content than some Battleground games released with nowadays and claim to be a quote-unquote full game, yet these same people don't complain about that. And if Orange is watching, just know that this is in no means a big priority. This is just my suggestion and something that could probably benefit the game between major updates. The binding vows could be added in minor updates, which will give the people to do something between the major ones. Better yet, give it some sort of quest or kill requirement to get a binding vow. But as for the communication, we really could use some. The minor revamp of the suggestion channel would already help a lot. And honestly, I am excited to see what Orange is gonna make next. After Mahito, we will probably get Gojo Mastery, which will be so hype. Even from the little bits we have seen before, people are already so hyped up. But like what I have said before, don't get too hyped and don't pressure the devs too much. I would also like to ask you guys, what do you think Sorcerer Battlegrounds could do to become even better? Orange seems to watch my videos, so you got a pretty likely chance to be noticed, and hell, maybe even your suggestion gets added. So get creative, make some ideas. Let's show that the big part of the community is actually the more positive one. Even if your comment doesn't get added, let's just at least show Orange that we actually do care, and we aren't just bring back the old dashes. But like most of my videos, I asked you, the community, what do you think? This time, not in my community tab, but rather my Discord server. So if you wish to take part of my videos or just chat with me, I am there. But with that, I'll see you in the next one.